Both of these tablets are affordable but not useless. One is amazing for students and binge watchers, the other leans more towards home use. If your budget is around 12 to 15,000 rupees and you want something for YouTube, Netflix, note-taking, maybe a bit of casual gaming, and a battery that won't give up in the middle of the day, the Redmi Pad 2 and the OPPO Pad SE look almost the same on paper until you actually use them. Stick around till the end because I'll tell you exactly which one makes sense for students, for binge watchers, for parents at home, and which one gives you the best value for money. Chapters are below if you want to jump. Let's start with design and build. Even in the budget space, how a tablet looks and feels matters a lot. Both the Redmi Pad 2 and the OPPO Pad SE use a mix of metal and plastic in their build. You get that cool to touch metal for most of the back, which feels sturdy, and there's also a plastic strip on the side that doubles up as housing for the antennas. On the OPPO Pad SE, this strip sits on the left and completely covers the camera bump, giving it a cleaner, uniform look around the lens. On the Redmi Pad 2, the strip is also on the left, but it only partially covers the camera module and is thinner than the Pad SE. In hand, the OPPO Pad SE is slightly slimmer at 7.39 mm and weighs about 530 grams. The Redmi Pad 2 is a touch heavier, but its flatter edges give it a more solid, squared-off feel. Both are comfortable for long use, but the OPPO's curves make it a bit nicer to hold for reading or binge watching, while the Redmi feels more robust, especially if you plan to use it with its official smart cover that wakes the tablet up when you open it. So, if you prefer a sleeker and more comfortable grip, the OPPO feels nicer in hand. But if you want something that feels tougher and a bit more premium, the Redmi Pad 2 still edges it out. Now the display is where you'll start seeing some clear differences. Now on paper, both these tablets give you a 11-inch LCD panel with decent resolution and wide aspect ratio, but the Redmi Pad 2 steps it up with a 2.5K panel, while the OPPO Pad SE has a full HD Plus panel, both with up to 90Hz refresh rate. That higher resolution on the Redmi Pad 2 means text look crisper, images are sharper, and videos just have more detail, which really matters if you watch a lot of OTT content or read long articles. In real use, that extra sharpness on Redmi helps with reading fine text, and the 90Hz adaptive refresh rate makes scrolling buttery smooth on both, though animations feel a bit snappier on the Redmi's panel. In brightness testing, the OPPO hit a peak of about 450 nits in manual mode and could drop as low as 3 nits in the dark. The Redmi topped out at around 400 nits but could go down at 1 nit, making it more comfortable for nighttime use. In direct sunlight, the OPPO is slightly easier to read, but indoors they are both fine for binge watching. We ran both through Calman color test. The Redmi Pad 2 nailed an average delta E of 1.4, which is excellent color accuracy, while the OPPO Pad SE came in at 2.6, which is still good but not quite as precise. In simple terms, colors on the Redmi are just a touch more true to life, especially for skin tones and grayscale. Audio is a win-win here. Both have quad speakers, both get loud, and both have hi-res audio support. The Redmi has Dolby Atmos, which gives movies a bit more spatial depth, while the OPPO uses its own omni-bearing sound trick to match the left and right channels depending on how you hold it. So, if you want sharper visuals and the most accurate colors, the Redmi Pad 2 edges it out. But if you want a bit more brightness for outdoor use, OPPO Pad SE is your pick. Either way, both are great for watching OTT, YouTube, or even doing some light creative work. Both the Redmi Pad 2 and the OPPO Pad SE run on the same MediaTek Helio G100 chipset. Day-to-day stuff like YouTube, Chrome, note-taking, or even a couple of social media apps in split screen are no problem at all. In benchmarks, they are neck to neck in most tests. AnTuTu scores are within a touching distance. Geekbench is basically identical, and both throttle a bit under sustained load, though Redmi holds a slightly higher 89% in the CPU stress test versus the OPPO's 85%. For gaming, both can handle casual titles like Subway Surfer and Asphalt easily. 3D Mark scores show that OPPO has a tiny edge in GPU-heavy loads, but in real life, you won't notice much unless you're pushing graphics in games like BGMI. Even then, you'll be playing at medium settings on both these tablets. Where the Redmi Pad 2 starts to pull ahead is with its extras. It supports the Redmi Smart Pen, which is an active stylus with pressure sensitivity that lets you take handwritten notes, sketch diagrams, annotate PDFs, or just doodle when you're bored. It's not included in the box, but the fact that it's even supported in this price range is a big advantage. The OPPO Pad SE doesn't have native pen support at all. You can still use regular capacitive stylus for basic taps and doodles, but you won't get the accuracy or the pressure sensitivity that's useful for serious note-taking or artwork. In software, Redmi runs the HyperOS 2, which is based on Android 15 with productivity features like floating windows, workstation mode, and even circle to search. OPPO's ColorOS 15 feels clean and responsive, and its O+ Connect features are great if you're already in the OPPO or the OnePlus ecosystem. So, for pure performance, it's basically a draw. Both can handle everyday tasks without breaking a sweat. But if you want a stylus support and more productivity tools, Redmi Pad 2 is the smarter choice. If you want better cross-device integration and you're already using an OPPO or a OnePlus phone, the OPPO Pad SE plays nicer. Now, next up, battery life, because no matter how good a tablet is, if it dies halfway through your day, it's basically a paperweight. On paper, the Redmi Pad 2 has a 9000 mAh battery, while the OPPO Pad SE packs a slightly bigger 9340 mAh unit. But bigger isn't always better. In our PC Mark battery test, which simulates real-world tasks like web browsing, text editing, and image editing, the Redmi lasted a massive 19 hours and 10 minutes. The OPPO still did well at 17 hours and 29 minutes, but the Redmi clearly squeezed more out of every charge. Now, charging is where OPPO pulls ahead. Its 33-watt SuperVOOC charging gets you from 0 to 100% in around 2 hours. The Redmi supports 18-watt but only includes a slower 15-watt charger in the box, taking about 3 hours for a full charge. And to make things even more complicated, OPPO doesn't give you the charger in the box at all. So you'll need to buy those separately to get those speeds. So if you want the longest possible battery life, the Redmi Pad 2 wins hands down. But if you're okay with slightly shorter endurance in exchange for much faster charging and you don't mind buying your own charger, the OPPO Pad SE will get you back up and running quicker. Okay, so pricing, because at the end of the day, that's what usually decides it. So pricing is almost identical for base and mid variants. The only difference is at the top. Redmi gives you 8GB RAM and 256GB storage for 17,999, while the OPPO Pad SE tops out at 8GB RAM and 128GB storage for 1,000 rupees less. So here's the bottom line. If you're a student, creative, or heavy content consumer, the Redmi Pad 2 is a clear choice. You get a sharper 2.5K display, better color accuracy, active stylus support, longer battery life, and more storage options. If you want a simple, comfortable tablet for the family, especially if you already use an OPPO or OnePlus phone, the OPPO Pad SE's cross-device features and faster charging make it more convenient, though you'll have to budget for buying your own charger. So for maximum value, my vote goes to the Redmi Pad 2. But if you prioritize quick top-ups and tight integration with your phone, OPPO is still a solid choice. So which one would you pick? Let me know in the comments, and if this helped you decide, give the video a like and share it with someone who's also looking for tablet. Thanks for watching.